I am April Ritzenthaler, one of the founders of Bad Girl, Good Woman Productions back in 2001. I, at that time, went by the name of Queen Destroyer, but you may know me as La Muerta. I am the founder of the Putas del Fuego, the original team captain, first jammer, was on the board of directors for about 9 out of the 11 years that I was involved with roller derby, and still love it to this day. When we started Bad Girl, Good Woman Productions, after, a guy named Devil Dan came up to me at a bar and said, "Hey, you want to join a roller derby?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm about to turn 30. I got to do something with my life, And so, cut to 6 weeks later, he's checked out of the process completely. Lots of hearsay, whether or not it's drugs or beating up a girlfriend or skipping town or whatever the hell it is. I don't freaking know actually what happened. He claims that he stayed in town and tried to contact us for 9 months, which I think is a complete lie. But so Devil Dan stops, and then Nancy, Heather, Anya, and I are sitting in her house, and we're like, well, we're the 4 captains. We want to do it. The girls want to do it. Let's just do it. So we started to dream into existence what it is that we wanted. And we also realized we got to recruit. We had 50 women, but the first time they had to go to an 8 a.m. Practice on a Saturday morning, and half of them were bartenders, it was like we had 5 women, So we just started to put posters around, and then, little handmade flyers that we Xeroxed at Office Depot and cut them up and stuck them all over the places. And then we put them in all the bar restrooms in every place we went to. We went out in groups, so we did exactly what you guys do now. We handed things out to people. We recruited heavily. If we could get publicity, we got publicity. We used every free tool at our disposal in order to spread the word. There was no social media at the time, so this was word of mouth and physical manifestation, paper. So Hydra had gone to high school with Bob Ray, and Bob Ray is a filmmaker who did, anyways, Rock Opera was the name of his movie that he'd done, and it had kind of some traction in the late 90s. There was like a young, it was a much smaller town. There was a lot more, you were kind of more involved with people. There was a lot more filmmakers and this and that and the other. We were all kind of on the streets together. And so Hydra, I guess I just told Bob about it, and he goes, "Man, that sounds really cool. I want to come and film you guys. Can I do a documentary or something?" She's like, "Yeah, sure." So that was like in December of 2001 is when he started to film us. So he was pretty quick there in the beginning. So that just kind of ended up naturally falling out. Like when A&E came along, they still were allowed. We made sure that they were still allowed to document us during all that period of time. So that's how that happened. It was just pretty organic. Yeah. They had something like 5,000 hours of footage. I mean, it was a lot, and they, put it down into an hour and a half, which is impossible. There wasn't a need for it to be democratic because we didn't have the same people. They had gone. They were gone. People come to 2 practices and leave. Mm-hmm. So we worked really hard at this. This was like January 2001 was the first meeting. March was when he took off, the first part of March. May was when we got the, not even LLC, but just like our DBA. We had our very first, Bad Girl, Good Woman bowling thing for $15. You came in bowled, and we gave you ham and cheese or something like that. And so, it was one of our first benefits. And so by the in the beginning of September, we had this huge meeting, and we're like, okay, we've got this right. We have committees. We know where everyone's going. We spent all of our money on patches to give to people for these committees. And that was September the 9th, 2001. And 2 days later, the world blew up, and about 50% of the people left. And because everyone's like, well, we're at war. I've got a dream. I want to live. And so they took off. And so we're like, well, we got to start over again. So then we do another big recruitment. So it was just this constant cycle of recruitment. So we could even get enough people to have 10 people on a team, or 6 people on a team for the most part. So then by the time we got to the point where this is like September, then we had a good recruitment, and then like we're getting around to like December. And they're also like, what kind of a company are you going to turn this into? And we're like, we don't know. And we had no money. So we're like, we're going to Service Corps of Retired Executives. And they're like, you need to make this an S Corp. The 4 of you guys need to be the owners only. You don't dare make anybody else owners of this. And so we literally were trying to follow the best advice that we were being given legally, because we didn't know what we were doing. And people came and went constantly. When we very first started, we thought, okay, we've got to script this. We're terrible skaters. We couldn't skate around the track in 1 minute. That's why there's 2-minute jams in flat track derby. That is the only reason, is because me and Sparkle Plenty were like, we can't get around the track fast enough. So we were like, we're just going to up it to 2 minutes until we get better skates. We're all wearing Skechers from Britney Spears at Dillard's.
So all the tire jammers in the entire world can thank you for that.
Yeah, you can blame Sparkle too. It's like there's no dimensions for the track. It's too big. So it's like somebody gets their boyfriend who's got a CAD drawing thing and he knows how to make, it was Electric Blue's boyfriend, and he knows how to make like skate ramps, and so he like makes us a drawing and we lay it out on the floor, but it was bound by the size of the skating rink.
Sure.
And then when we moved to Playland, it was where the bingo chairs ended. Then we had the rest of it. So that's why the flat track is that size, because of the bingo chairs at Playland. So
I love this story.
I know. We were approached by 3 different production companies, and they were courting us like hardcore. Like they were coming and filming. There was a guy for Discovery. He might even be the Ice Road Truckers guy or something like that. You know, it was like a really high end. At that time, I can't remember what his shows were, but I actually liked his really, really well. He really kind of captured the spirit of us. And so we ended up going with Go Go Lucky, partially because they were partnering with Action Figure, which was a local company, and we trusted them. Mark was partial owner of Club DeVille. Matt was. Mark had been a filmer. We didn't know Karen at all. But Go Go Lucky they had done Laguna Beach, and they were just like super popular for the hills right then. So we're like, okay, they've got the connections. This is good. They're Hollywood people, and they're partnering with a local company that's going to, keep them really Austin local. And this is the ironic part. Action Figure was charged by Go Go Lucky to go see Texas Roller Girls. And Matt had seen us before, or Mark had seen us before, and he goes, I think we're supposed to see this other league, because at that time we were in Tillery, and oh my God, that place, it was beyond a health hazard and beyond a safety hazard. So they came to see us there, and everybody was there, and it was when Frankie was our DJ, and he just had this way of, he knew exactly what song to play, and so it'd be like, the jam would be on, and it'd be like, Ministry, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, and then it was like the whole crowd would just be like, ah! Everybody was just losing their mind. It was like all of our cool underground friends from every single bar in the whole entire, and so they show up and they're just like, this is who we want to film. Down in Derby has a really good line-by-line history of that. So TXRD influenced a number of different leagues. Celia Fate saw a game here for BGGW, and she went to North Carolina and formed South Carolina, excuse me for not remembering which one it is, but anyway, she formed a league over there. And then I think the Gotham girls, were they second or third? I know Ivana Spankin she says that she had already tried to have a league over there, nobody joined it, and then when she found out we were doing it, then she did it again. The LA girls kind of got the zeitgeist and started to do it on their own, but there's like a really easy history that you can read, line by line in Down in Derby. So looking back over the 16 years that modern roller derby has had, it's greater than we ever envisioned, but at the same time, our vision was huge. Like, we knew that women were going to go crazy for this. We knew audiences were going to go crazy for it. We hoped that we led the expansion. We hoped that we, within the first 6 or 8 months, we were like, let's go have a league in Chicago. Let's have a league in LA. Like, we really could feel the wave beginning, and we could feel it moving through women in a deeper way than was expected in some form. So to me, the growth is not unexpected. It's very fractal. It's people have made it what they want it to. They've taken their own path and they've, formed their things with it, which is as any great creative endeavor really should be. And I always encouraged every league that I had any sort of encounter with to do it their own way and to do it the way that made their spirit soar. The reason TXRD has stayed successful is because we've never lost sight of our clients. It's our customers. This is where the money comes from. It's like people like entertainment and sports. Every time, every few years we'd have some sort of poll within the league, or we'd have a poll at the game, and it was always like, what do you love the most? And it was literally 50-50, sports and entertainment. And when something affects the quality of the game or the quality of the product which we are presenting, then it's going to affect the bottom line. And it's not all about the money. It was about the survival and about allowing generations of women to experience what we experienced. We wanted this to last for as long as it possibly can last. It's not that I just don't believe in changing the past. It's just that we had to do what we had to do. I mean, even with the A&E series, when we made some money on that, and everybody got a little bit of a distribution on that, and if we had gone to a second season, it would have torn us apart. The money would have torn everybody apart. I could see the fighting. I could see the people that weren't working. I found out all this stuff later after the contracts were over. The girls that were calling up the production company and going, you need to film me more because I'm the star. Just creepy that showed up when people's egos were on the line in a bigger way and fame was involved. I could see places where we hoped, oh, this is going to get us to where we can buy that place and we can have paid management and the girls can all be paid. Yes, it's the same dream. It's always the same dream. But after that happened, I became really clear, like, I'm doing this for love. I'm doing this because this is a spiritual pursuit for me. It is allowing women to express who they fully are. It is allowing them to become more than they ever could be alone. It is letting them know they have a community for life if they choose it. So financial success is it's a paradigm that I don't choose to worship anymore. I continue to love the success of the rise of the powerful feminine. There's no piece of advice that I could just give somebody. This is the key. This is the golden key that's going to unlock the door to your success. That just doesn't exist. Every single market is completely different. Every single place you live is completely different. Every culture is different. Even if it's in the United States, you just have to know your market. You have to know what it can sustain. I don't have one piece of advice other than have a clear field of consciousness for what your dreams are, and continue to refocus on that. Make that your compass point. Make that where it is that you're heading. And no matter what comes up while it's happening, there is no checklist that you have to have in order to have the success. And again, the success might be you've got 8 people in your league, you're having the greatest time ever, you do it for 5 years, nobody else ever joins, and those 8 people, you become something more than you've ever known was possible. You become friends for life. Your children marry each other. Whatever it is that you do, there's no picture of roller derby that's the right picture, because it's a spirit. Well, I'm still around roller derby because it was my baby, and I love my baby very much, and I had to step away in a way that I had not before in order to pursue some spiritual goals that I had, or some things that had come up for me that were just completely unexpected. And it was very clear at the time for me to stay with derby. It was living in the past for me. So I needed to make a break from that and to just be like, okay, let me solidify myself in who it is that I am and know who I am in a different way without it. So I'll never completely be away from it. There's just no way. I mean, I see my putas. I still travel at least once a year with some of the women that we won the 2006 championship together. In fact, I was just with Sancha and Venus. Lotta was supposed to join us, but she ended up having to evacuate for the hurricane. She's fine. There was no damage, but they lost power. Chola couldn't make it this year, but we always, the putas like that, these are my sisters for my entire life, forever and ever and ever. So it's just part of my life. It's part of who I am. It's given me a skill set that's actually paying off now. I have a job, like I'm chief of staff at a high tech company without training, basically, because I did it. I formed our HR, department. Lacey helped a lot, and then it's like we took it and went crazy from there. And it's like I was part of the legal department, and we formed the corporate structure. It's Sancha's actual MBA class spent her entire MBA studies forming our corporate structure for us in order for it to be legal, because it's very unusual to have an LLC with membership options and to have it where you can come and go and you can take people's membership away, because usually the SEC doesn't allow that. It's like if you give stock, you can't take somebody's stock back. You have to leave it. So people take a break, and it's always been that way because it's such an intense thing. You're like, you are beating up against your own ego. You are figuring out your own crap while other people figure out their crap around you. It is adult training school in a big way. And this is what I've always told every single person when they get to that point where they think everything is terrible, everybody's doing it wrong, and that if they do it in this form, it's going to ruin everything. I'm like, this is the time for you to take a break. So it's a real beautiful sort of thing where you get to practice being somebody that you've never been able to be, hold that energy within yourself and know that you can take it out into your everyday life, and you can be bigger than you were before, because April was in a really bad place when Derby showed up, but Queen Destroyer could be bigger than she was, and then La Muerta got to be even bigger than that. And so it absolutely saved my life. Changed my life, saved my soul, and I've watched it do it for so many other women. So to me, that is the success of this.